Imagine that you're inside a cave, and suddenly water starts filling up. You have only one exit, and that too is where the water is coming from. What would you do? This is exactly what happened to a group of college students. 10 friends decided to explore the Mossdale Cave during their summer break. However, what happened to them after they ventured into the cave for an hour shocked the entire world. Even the cave rescue team was baffled by how this could have happened. When this news spread worldwide, it sent shivers down people's spines. Everyone who heard about it was terrified. What exactly happened to those people in the cave? To find out, watch the video until the end. In June 1967, 10 people decided to explore the Mossdale Cave, a dangerous cave located in Yorkshire Dales, England. The cave stretches for nearly 10 kilometers and is filled with narrow, winding passages that are terrifying just to look at. On the afternoon of June 24th, the group of 10 arrived at the cave. Their plan was to enjoy themselves and discover new paths inside the cave. Upon reaching the cave, the 10 friends split into 2 teams. The first team had 4 people, and the second team had 6. They equipped themselves and entered the cave. For the first few hours, they enjoyed themselves inside the cave, joking and laughing with each other. However, after a short distance, they encountered very narrow passages that were difficult to navigate. 4 members of the group decided not to go any further, fearing that it could be dangerous. At 5 p.m., they exited the cave. What was about to happen would leave you shocked. Upon exiting the cave, they realized that the weather had turned very bad, with strong winds blowing. 3 of the friends decided to return to England, but one of their companions, Morgan Forbes, chose to stay near the cave. Meanwhile, inside the cave, the 6 remaining friends were Bill Frex, 19, Colin Vicks, 23, Dave Edmond, 26, who had explored the cave many times before and had even planned this trip, Jeff Borey, 24, Michael Ryan, 17, and John Ogden, 21. These 6 continued to explore deeper into the cave. By now, it was 7 p.m., and the storm had escalated. What was about to happen was beyond anyone's imagination. Along with the storm came heavy rainfall. Morgan, standing outside the cave, became alarmed as she watched the heavy rain because she knew what could happen. What she feared came true. The heavy rain caused a significant amount of water to flow into the cave. However, the 6 people inside had no idea what was happening outside. After a while, the 6 friends reached a place inside the cave called 4 Marathon, where only 1 or 2 people had ever reached before. While they were thrilled with their accomplishment, death was waiting just around the corner for them. Water had filled the cave to the point where it reached them, and soon it was rising up to their faces. Dave Edmond, who was the most experienced and knowledgeable about the cave, instructed the others to find a place where they could stand with their faces above water so they could continue to get oxygen. Meanwhile, outside the cave, Morgan was at a loss for what to do. She tried going a little inside the cave to look for them, but by that time, they had gone too far inside. It was now 9 p.m., and the cave had turned into a lake. Morgan knew she had to seek help, so she ran 2 to 3 kilometers through the pouring rain to a nearby farmhouse, where at 11 p.m., she called the police and cave rescue team. When the rescue team arrived at the Mossdale Cave, they were stunned by what they saw. The entire cave was filled with water, making it look like a lake. The rescue team knew that this task was beyond their capabilities, so they called for additional rescue teams. As news of the incident spread, more and more rescue teams arrived at the cave, but everyone was shocked by the dangerous, muddy cave conditions. With a large group of people gathered outside the cave, the rescue team faced the daunting question of how to enter such a treacherous cave. That night, amidst heavy rain, the rescue team brought in vehicles and tractors. The next day, June 25th, the area around the Mossdale Cave looked as if a war had taken place. The gathered rescue teams decided to dig a trench 6 feet wide, 10 feet deep, and approximately 100 yards long. Although they had limited equipment, the task was necessary, so the team started digging without wasting much time. Many people even dug with their hands. The question that haunted them was whether they would be able to dig the trench, and if they did, would it even work? By morning, the trench was dug, but the next question was whether it would actually work. When the trench was connected to the cave, water began to flow out of the cave rapidly. Now it was time to rescue the people trapped inside the cave. A brave man named Jim Eyre 41 years old and a well-known caver from England, took on the responsibility of this risky task. 7 days before this tragedy, Dave Edmund had invited Jim to join him on this trip, but Jim had declined, as even he was nervous about entering the Mossdale Cave. However, now his friend was trapped inside, so he had no choice but to go in. Jim and a few others prepared to enter the cave. Before they went in, pipes were installed in the trench to allow water to flow out even faster. Jim and the rescue team, holding their breath, cautiously made their way into the cave. The strange sounds caused by the water inside the cave made them anxious. After a few hours, they reached the rough chamber, a space about the size of a room where they could only stand. After standing there for a while, they heard a splash, but it turned out to be just a figment of their imagination. As the water level in the cave continued to decrease, Tony Waltham, a senior member of the team who knew the cave well, joined the rescue effort. He and Jim Eyre were responsible for leading the way through the rough chamber towards Fort Marathon. Waltham was surprised that the 6 friends had ventured beyond Fort Marathon, as only a few people had ever gone that far. Waltham was hesitant to go beyond Fort Marathon, but it was essential. As they proceeded deeper into the cave, the silence grew, and the water level continued to drop due to the pipes. Beyond Fort Marathon, there was a 900-foot path that required crawling for 5 hours through very narrow passages. After traveling a short distance, Waltham found 2 dead bodies. As they moved further, they found 3 more. When the message was relayed outside, the families were devastated. However, the 6th person, John Ogden, was still missing. Despite searching further, John Ogden was nowhere to be found. Outside the cave, doctors concluded that John had likely drowned, and the current had carried his body away. By now, continuing the search had become dangerous, as heavy rain was pouring outside again, and water was flowing into the cave once again. Even retrieving the 5 bodies seemed impossible. With the agreement of the families and authorities, the rescue team abandoned the effort to find John. It was decided that John must have died inside the cave, and the 5 bodies could not be recovered. Over 300 people had gathered outside the cave by this time. The cave was sealed permanently, and a stone memorial was erected outside with the names of the 6 victims. If you want to watch more such videos on similar topics, subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon, and comment below to let me know. And suggest us more topics. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching,